and came across a offer that says anywhere from 1 to 3,000 euros per month. Then you have to, give me this 2,500 euro fee.
That was a few parts from the whole phone call I'm going to show you in today's video with a footballer's father who almost got scammed out of thousands of dollars. Now this is a topic I've spoken about a few times on this very channel. These fake agents, they target young footballers with big dreams and they use their dreams against them. They turn these young footballers' dreams into weak points, which helps them steal as much money as possible. Money that the young footballer has worked hard for or has loaned from their parents or even grandparents. I mean, what type of person even does this? This is something that has to be stopped or at least monitored much better. So anyway, one day I was on LinkedIn and I got messaged by a player's father. A player who recently travelled out to Italy to sign a professional football contract. Yes, every young footballer's biggest dream, signing that contract. But this pro contract almost turned into a player's worst nightmare. The player's dad did want to remain anonymous, but I did get the opportunity to speak to him about his son's experiences in Italy and with this fake agent. So have a listen.
Okay, so my name is Andy, and what had transpired is my son played soccer in Australia and in the 3rd division, and during that time we were trying to establish Greek citizenship for him, which he got as a U passport, and finished the season out in Australia, became aware of then the opportunity to move over to Europe, and started looking at some of your videos, Josh, and trying to understand the whole process, if you will.
Yeah.
So during that time, he started getting connections on LinkedIn. Obviously, he put together a CV and the highlight video on YouTube, and then just started looking for opportunities on LinkedIn and came across a offer, or actually a agent, we thought was an agent, that was publicizing opportunities in Italy. So we didn't think anything of it. He reached out. The guy came back to him and said, okay, they're looking to sign you after he watched his video, supposedly.
Yeah.
And then you need to be in Calabria by the 8th of January because they want to sign.
Yeah.
So he goes out there, and then I'm referencing back to your videos, and being a cautious father, obviously, I'm like, hold on a second. Something is just not adding right up. And I'm looking at the LinkedIn profile. The guy that I'm looking at kind of looks shady, in all honesty, the way he's dressed and whatnot. I'm noticing that in his management company, he's got spelling errors on how to spell management. And then on top of that, I'm thinking to myself, okay, where's this contract, right? My son lands in Calabria. We finally get a contract sent over. And in the advertisement on his LinkedIn page, it says anywhere from 1 to 3,000 euros per month. So I look at the contract, and I use, there's a nice little tool on Word that you can get the document translated. Yeah, I review it. I'm like, hold on a second. This says total compensation 2,000 euros, nowhere near the 2,000 euros a month. So that's not adding up. And then he comes back and says, no, it's a typo, and they're gonna update it, and it's 2,000 euros a month. I'm like, okay. So then I'm thinking to myself, fine, and what's the agent fee, right? How's that going to work out? Yeah. So he gets there, and then if I'm thinking to myself, if it's 2,000 euros a month for 6 months, that's 12,000 euros, and then he comes back where he kind of threw it off. Another telltale sign was, after you sign, I want 2,500 euros up front, which I know that, from a FIFA perspective, and an agent fee, you should be paying anywhere from 5 to 10%.
Yeah, exactly.
That's more than double the fee, and it just is not adding up. You pay me right after, give me a check or money or whatever the case may be. So I'm like, the night of, I mean, I can't sleep, you know, so I'm like doing Google searches and doing more and more intuitive searches. I researched the league and the club and find out that they're in financial trouble. They released all their players and can't pay anybody, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm thinking to myself, that's not adding up. So then they're running around the book, beating around the bush, if you will. They never basically give them an address, where to go, and they said they're willing to come to the hotel to sign this contract and pay the fee. And I'm like, no, this doesn't add up, right? So luckily, I keep doing this research, and then, you know, the site like soccerway.com.
Yeah.
And so there's actually some old, basically, telephone numbers or contacts, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how old they were, so I contacted somebody that used to be like the director of the club. And luckily, the guy answered. He says, "Who's this?" And my wife is Italian.
Yeah.
So she started communicating with him. Well, no. He goes, "Don't do anything because there's no way that they can pay you. They're bankrupt."
Mm-hmm.
So then that's where I started doing more digging, and I found 3 instances that I sent you.
Yeah.
This guy has then engaged financially distressed clubs, and it was in this case he was in cahoots with one of the contacts of the club, where they would sign the player, and then 2 or 3 days later they would fire the player and then split the money amongst themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we caught wind of it, and it says, you know, don't do anything. And sure enough, that was the case, and you can see the 3 instances, and even there was a video of this now in Albania of a guy doing this, you know, a third person getting the same issue and losing money to this guy.
Yeah.
So, the other thing I was going to tell you, the other research I did was that I looked at the transfer market. There's no instance of this guy having any representation for players on the transfer market with his agency or him.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to the FIFA website and found out that he wasn't even a registered FIFA agent.
Yeah.
So that kind of played. The kind of disappointing thing is my son went out to Italy and wasted all this time.
Like all agents, they should have like their own number, because they're registered through FIFA. And another way you can check is they should all be on transfer market, and then you should always be able to see the players they work with. But just to ask, like, did he mention any fees before your son travelled out?
No, he didn't. He
Okay.
didn't mention any fees, and then when he got there,
Yeah, all changed.
So he landed, he had to make a connection from like Rome, let's say.
Yeah.
Or no, he flew into Germany first to spend some time with some friends, and after he got on the plane to go out there, that's when he said that, okay, then, you know, once we do the signing and everything, then you have to, you know, give me this 2,500 euro fee.
Yeah.
At that point, he's already in Europe, so he's like, I'm already here. And, you know, so that kind of basically told him after the fact that he already flew to Europe.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. As you said, an agent fee is always like 5-10%, but I think they even bring in a cap now where it's like 3-4%. I'm not sure if they've brought it in everywhere, but I know in a lot of countries now the agent fee's been capped at like 3-4%. Anyone who's asking for like these big 10 or 15%, that's like something's fishy there, 100%.
Well, especially if you're telling the player that you want the whole fee up front.
Oh, and that, yeah.
So not only did this player travel all the way to Italy, wasting money and time, but he also got his hopes up. He thought he'd finally made it. He'd finally got that opportunity he's been working so hard for. And all of that for nothing. And during this whole experience, he could have actually spent his time looking for real, legit opportunities. And here you can see an example of one of the fake documents that they got sent from this fake agent. So what this agent actually did was he found players online and said he had an opportunity or a club for them in Italy. But before this, that agent went out and found clubs who were struggling financially, and he told them a way they can both make money quickly. And as you heard, the way it went, when the player signs the contract, the agent asks for a massive agent fee. But in today's world, the average agent fee is around 5%. So you can imagine at the lower levels of football, agents aren't making very much money. And then if or after the player paid the agent, the club would then make an excuse saying they can't afford the player, or they would just sack the player. Whilst then the fake agent and the club would simply halve the profit and move on. There's even another YouTube video about this same agent where a player was promised a move to Turkey. However, this move would cost the player an upfront fee of 5,000 euros. Now, my latest update on this is the contract should have been concluded in last July, but this never happened, of course, and the player sent 1,500 euros to the fake agent. And those 1,500 euros he's never going to see again. And these are just two examples of the many cases that happen every single day all over the world with young aspiring footballers. So what I recommend to any footballers out there looking to work with agents is that you do a lot of research. Look for FIFA numbers, transfer market page, and speak to any clients or players the agent has worked with in the past and see what their experience is like, and see if the agent is actually a legit real agent. And if the agent keeps on bringing up any excuses like medical or visas or accommodation or the club needs money for this or that, it's a scam, forget it, move on. So regardless, always be careful with agents and really anyone you want to work with in the footballing world, and always do research. But if you did enjoy this video, please smash the like button. Also be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on our future videos regarding fake agents, training tips, networking tips, or anything within football. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.